by the Leadership Council Vice Chairs Wendy Foster and Eric Stumberg.
Hello, everyone. Are you enjoying your lunch? All right. Well, now it's time for the moment that we really love, the announcement of award winners. And we want to start by talking about the agencies who have exceeded the national average for performance, for match length, and retention rates. Match length is key to the success of our one-to-one mentoring matches, and it's key to our national outcomes, as reported for the second year in our Youth Outcomes Survey report. For community-based littles, 94% maintained or improved their attitude toward risky behaviors. 85% maintained or improved in educational expectations, and 83% maintained or improved in social acceptance. For site-based matches, 90% maintained or improved in social acceptance and attitudes towards risky behaviors, and 87% maintained or improved in educational expectations. Incredible. I'm going to name each of our quality award winners and ask the agency's CEO and board chair or representative to join us on the stage so that we can see them all together. And the winners are Northeastern Wisconsin. Please come on up and join us on the stage. Greater Pittsburgh. Yay. Southern Nevada. Metro Atlanta. Greater Twin Cities. North Bay, Inc., Ventura County, Bucks County, Broward County, Kansas, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Catholic, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Central Illinois, Cedar Rapids, and East Central Iowa, Central Wisconsin, and last but not least, Texas Panhandle. Congratulations to all.
Congratulations to all our quality award winners again. Yay! And now to another Best of Best group, this year's Gold Standard and Pinnacle Award winners. The Gold and Pinnacle Awards recognize their success with growing the number of children served, the revenue raised, the quality demonstrated, the length of match, and the diversity of office staff. In spite of all the challenges we all face with sustaining and growing funding to attract and retain staff members and to provide the highest standards of growth and quality service. So for this special recognition, let's celebrate the success of those among us who've managed to improve in each of those areas. So when I call your agency's name, please join us again on stage. So the 2013 Gold Standard winners are Big Brothers Big Sisters of Harrisonburg, Rockingham County, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Indiana, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Kansas City, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. Go Blackhawks. Oh, wait. I know, sorry. What am I supposed to do? It was awesome.
Let's give them all another huge round of applause. And finally, to an agency that met all the qualifications of our gold standard winners, not only this year, but last year as well. That makes this special agency eligible to be named the elite among the already small elite group. For achieving gold standard status 2 years in a row, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Salina is this year's only Pinnacle Award winner. Please join us on the stage.
So, since we're on the topic of awards, earlier in the year, the National Board issued a Bowl for Kids' Sake challenge for board members. And the response was so great that we wanted to take a few seconds to recognize publicly the winners. So please stand when I call you so we can see you when I call your names. So just think about this, about how many people participate in Bowl for Kids' Sake, and think of these numbers. The 2012 Bowl for Kids' Sake Board Challenge winners list is Jim Merkel from Central Ohio, who raised $35,725. Troy Hartman of Northeast Indiana, who raised $14,000. And John Yones of South Central Kentucky, who raised $6,500. So, as the top fundraisers, each of these gentlemen also won 2 free national conference registrations and hotel stays for their agencies. So congratulations, and let's again give them a round of applause. So sprinkled throughout the conference are mentoring matches from our Denver agency. And as each of you knows, every match story is uniquely special. So before we wrap up lunch and head to our afternoon general session, one of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado's Littles will share about how Big Brothers Big Sisters has made a big difference in his life. And by the way, the general session that's upcoming will feature one of our newest national board members, Lenny Kama, who's President and Chief Operating Officer of Jack in the Box Inc. But first, let me welcome Jonathan. Come on up.
I'd like to thank my mom, my little sister, and my little brother for coming instead of watching Sleeping Beauty. I guess I should start with my name. I'm Jonathan Flynn. I've been in the Sports Buddies program since 2008. I met well, no, I've been in since 2006, and I met Kevin in 2008. We've been to a lot of very fun programs, like Capture the Flag and rugby, and longboard workshops, and it's always very fun when we go to things like that. And when I'm not involved with sports buddies, I like to read and serve in the community. I'm currently finishing up the Lost Hero book series, and after that, I plan on continuing to work on my drawing. I just finished my freshman year at Sheridan High School and was a part of the President's Council of the local chapter of Deemlay International. Kevin even attended my President Council ceremony. And I was also able to attend his college graduation. And through the Sports Buddies program, and having Kevin in my life, I've learned a lot of new things and have been given the encouragement I need to be successful. All right.
My name is Destiny, and I'm 12 years old. My name is Sylvia, I'm 11. My name is Jayana, I'm 12 years old. What if every child was sent on our right path? What if every child stayed in school, graduated college, got a job, gave back to the community? What could that start? It can be the start of something big. Every time you donate money or time to Big Brothers Big Sister, it makes a big impact on a little. So start more role models. Start more success stories. Start something at BigBrothersBigSisters.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jim Singleton, Board Chair, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America.
Hello. It's a really tough act to follow, by the way. You're really good. What ifs? What if every child was sent on the right path, stayed in school, graduated from college, got a job? What could that start? It could start something big. Several years ago, the National Fund Development Team began to look at products that might allow our agencies to start something big. The goal was to leverage the power of our national reach to give each agency the best that technology has to offer in match mentoring, outcomes, tracking, and donor stewardship. We know that AIM has helped us with match support and has provided safety-related checks and balances. It clearly improved our quality, and our funders have responded. With AIM 360, we will set the network on a course to continue the momentum. The goal is to look at match support while knowing how our fundraising and recruitment needs to match up with everyone in our network, from our volunteers and staffers to our donors, corporate and community partners, to the families we serve. The fact that we are not the favorite charity of most of the folks we serve is something for which only we can blame ourselves. If we leverage the technology at its fullest, AIM 360 will give us all, at the local and national level, a chance to have a holistic view of everyone our network serves: children, families, volunteers, board members, employees, and partners. If a site-based mentor provides a local grant to his agency from his Fortune 100 employer, an agency across the nation will be aware of the information and able to build it into her case for funding from the company's branch in her city. The opportunities are endless. Still, change does not come easily. Like you, I've heard the rumblings. Why are we having to pay more money for yet another investment? And with so much going on, why now? From our corporate partners who work within a franchise model, we have learned that the for-profit world struggles with these same kinds of issues. So we asked Lenny Kama, President and Chief Operating Officer of Jack in the Box, to help us understand how these kind of investments work and why they are worth it. Jack in the Box operates or franchises more than 2,200 restaurants in 20 states. Lenny is responsible for the operations of all company and franchise Jack in the Box locations, as well as marketing and restaurant development. He joined Jack in the Box in 2001 as Director of Convenience Store and Fuel Operations for Quick Stuff, the company's proprietary chain of convenience stores, which was ultimately comprised 61 locations in 7 states. In addition to his oversight of Quick Stuff, which discontinued operations in 2009 with the sale of all 61 locations, he also held positions of increasing responsibility with Jack in the Box restaurant operations. In 2006, he served as Regional Vice President of the company's Southern California region, and a year later he was promoted to Vice President of Operations. That was of Division 2, and he had the oversight of nearly 1,200 company and franchise restaurants in the western U.S. Lenny became Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the company in February of 2010 and was promoted to his current position in May of 2012. We are fortunate to have Lenny as one of our newest national board members. Lenny, we welcome you. Come on up.
Good afternoon. All right, so you heard about all the business stuff. Let me tell you who I really am. I'm just a knucklehead from Long Island, New York. All the New Yorkers. And then there are New York haters, but I do get it. I married my high school sweetheart, Allison. I met her at a Halloween dance when I was 13. She was a freshman and I was in 8th grade. And I went to my 2 older brothers' Halloween dance at high school, and they kept telling me I was going to like her, and of course I ignored her because I liked her. And 4 years later, we started dating, and that's all she wrote. So we've been together. I won't tell you about the breakups and the drama, but we're together and we love each other, and it's worked out really well. I have 3 kids, 3 boys, Lenny, Jordan, and Cameron, 18, 13, 11. And they're very active kids, sports and music, and they keep us happy and rightfully distracted from all the less important things. So that's a little bit about me. And the work stuff, you know, it's what I do for a living and I have a passion for it, but it doesn't define who I am as a person, but certainly it is rewarding. And it has allowed me to have this connection with Big Brothers Big Sisters because locally in San Diego we've been supporting Big Brothers for a very long time. We also have supported National for a very long time. And our organization has wanted one of us to be on the national board, but with everything that was happening at work, it just wasn't the right time until now. And I'm pleased that with a little less travel in the job that I'm in today, I'm able to now commit some time to this, and it's been eventful, actually, for the last year. But you know, that's why I'm here. So I appreciate everybody listening to me today, because what I really want to talk about is the parallels between what I experienced at Jack in the Box and what I think all of you are going through today. So I have some notes. I'll refer to them once in a while, but you know, I'm going to go where my passion takes me today as I describe to you kind of what I see you going through. So first, let me describe that about a year ago, I went to my first National Leadership Conference meeting, and I was absolutely fascinated. It was as if someone had put me in a time capsule and sent me back 5 years to what Jack in the Box was 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago, we were making a major decision to turn our business from company operations to franchise operations. And we were realizing very quickly that it was going to change everything. And as a result of those changes, I was able to see what I think is the end of the story for all of you. And I hope that today I can add some encouragement to you about what that looks like and what you're feeling and why it's worth going through it. So first off, at the NLC meeting, what I noticed was there was this wonderful conflict going on. What a way to describe conflict. Conflict is something that most people internalize as completely negative. It's like, well, avoid it. But I made the comment at the NLC meeting, and I'll make it again today. It's that conflict that is going to bring you to a place of productivity that's going to make this organization thrive. So as you're going through all this vetting out of the organizational changes, you have to realize that if you didn't care, you wouldn't be going through it. And if you didn't care, you wouldn't emerge on the other side of it, which is a better organization that's growing and thriving. So wonderful conflict. Plant that in your minds, because I think that when you go through the pain of transition, you have to keep your eye on the prize. So Jack in the Box, 60-year-old company. We were set in our ways. We were changing from company to franchise. And you know, I came to Big Brothers Big Sisters because I thought I could contribute. I heard about this whole dynamic that relates to my business, franchise and franchisor, national and the affiliates, and I thought, okay, this makes some sense. But I have to admit, when I showed up to the first NLC meeting, I was like, oh my God, I'm going right back to where I've been before. And then I thought about it, and I said, you know what's wonderful about this? I've seen the end of the story. So Jack in the Box today is thriving. In 2010, when I took this job, we were running negative 9%. For the quarter, we were running negative 11% for that financial period. We blew everything up. We've had positive same-store sales growth starting about 3 months after I took over, every quarter up until now. And it's not because we sold a great new hamburger. We sold a lot of hamburgers, but the truth is they look a lot like the other hamburgers we've been selling. We sold a lot of chicken sandwiches, but they look a lot like the old chicken sandwiches. So what changed? Everything. But what got us to this place where we're productive and we're performing again had very little to do with the product and had everything to do with us. And that's how I see this organization today. You thriving has very little to do with your product, because you can have a great product, but if you don't execute against it in a positive way and you don't find a way to come together as a team, it doesn't matter what product you have. It absolutely doesn't matter. So when you think collectively, when you think collaboratively, and when you engage in what the future of this brand is, Big Brothers Big Sisters, you will find that you will start to make progress. But divided, you will go nowhere. So Jack in the Box, who were we? And how do I see the parallels with you? Well, first of all, let's talk about national. And let's talk about Jack in the Box as the franchisor. Jack in the Box, the franchisor of old, top-down management. We got all the answers. So just do what we say. Why do we feel that way? Because at the time we were 80% company operated, and our franchisees really didn't have much space in our decision making. They weren't major stakeholders, and maybe you can say for all the right reasons the company ran itself without including franchisees as much as they should. But I would say ultimately we could have benefited even at that time where they were a smaller percentage of our chain. Today, we're 80% franchise. These are the largest set of stakeholders and investors in our business. They deserve a seat at the table, and they don't deserve top-down management, and neither do all of you. And so when we look at the type of leadership that Jack in the Box had to transition to, you had to transition from top-down to servant leader. Because it's not about what National wants. It also isn't about what the affiliates want, but it's about what the brand needs. Jack in the Box experienced that. We learned a lot of things the hard way because we weren't inclusive. And as a result of not being inclusive, we made a lot of silly mistakes that we didn't need to make. And if we had just embraced our stakeholders They could have told us ahead of time, here's where this won't work out so well, and if we make these few adjustments, we can all do this really well together. And so first, top-down management's got to go, and I can tell you that what I'm seeing in the board meetings and what I'm seeing with this management team is there's a belief in servant leadership. And all of you should expect that the way National will handle things is we're here to serve all of you and partner with all of you. There's a new team. You have to recognize that there's a new team, and they are going through all that forming and norming and conforming, and all the HR people can tell you all about that, okay? They're going through that, and they need to go through that in order to build something that's worthy of serving you. They need your patience, and they need your partnership, but also recognize that a lot of the things they're managing through today aren't necessarily what they created, and what they have their eyes on is what the future will be, and what needs to be created to serve that. And that's where they need your contribution. So, what did Jack in the Box do to include people? We created 9 advisory committees, and we asked our franchisees to take a seat at the table, to give us feedback, and to partner with us on the decisions we were going to make. The NLC plays that role, but also all of you play that role. And I can tell you that the leadership team at Big Brothers Big Sisters is looking for your feedback, is looking for your partnership, and is committed to being inclusive. We made some really silly mistakes. We had, as an example, a reimage program that cost about $250,000 per restaurant. And we went to our franchisees with top-down management, and we said, everybody's got to go do this. And the franchisees said, it's a lot of money. I don't necessarily want to have to do this, but I can understand it. The restaurant's getting old, so we got to do something. So Jack in the Box Corporate started building, rebuilding, remodeling all these stores at about $250,000 a copy. And then the franchisees showed up and said, hey, guess what? We think we can do this for about $150,000 less and have the same outcome. And when they said that, because we weren't inclusive, we didn't listen. We said, let's just get it done, right? And then as we started selling off restaurants to franchisees and they became a bigger stakeholder and had a bigger voice, we opened up our ears. And for the second and third and fourth and 10th time, they said, we think we can save you about $150,000 and come up with the same outcome. And after a lot of changes in management and a new team in place with a new belief system about servant leadership, no top-down management, give the franchisees a seat at the table, we said, well, how do you think you can save us that $150,000 per copy? And they said, well, if you just don't force us to move the lights in the dining room, you won't trigger a permit being necessary. And as a result of not triggering that permitting, you also won't trigger some of the grandfathered ADA issues and local municipality issues. And so we can just go basically put the tile and the furniture and everything else, hang the lights above the tables, but leave the existing light fixtures where they are, and as a result, all that extra work you guys are doing, you don't have to do. And we went, oh, thanks for telling us that. I mean, it was sort of the height of stupidity, honestly, where you think you got it all figured out, and here's the person who actually has to execute it, and if you just give them a seat at the table and you just listen for a brief moment to what they have to say, that one little nugget totally changes everything and makes it better. That's the kind of organization I want to see here at Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I've learned enough the hard way at Jack in the Box to say that I can promise you that as I sit on the board, I will push for that to be consistently led that way by this organization. So, what's the business case for what we do as an organization today? Well, Jack in the Box didn't really care what the business case was for what we were going to do because Jack in the Box of old had it all figured out. So who cares about the business case? There's no reason to put that out there for anybody. We figured it out in the boardroom or whatever conference room, and everybody just needs to listen. How does that make you feel if we just come out as Big Brothers Big Sisters and we say, there's no business case for this that we wish to discuss with you, but we want you to just do it? How many people are signing up for that? I don't see any hands. How many people are signing up for, we think there's a compelling business case to do something. We're willing to take you through it. We're willing to gather your feedback along the way and make appropriate adjustments so that together we can all feel good about the outcome and win. How many people signed up for that? Raise them high. You should all be signing up for that. If you're not, you know that it's top-down management and you don't want to go there. So, the business case versus the tell. This organization will move away from the tell as the way it does business, and we'll move to the business case. Here's where this gets tricky. What happens when everybody in this room gives their input? Do you all think the same thing? You can answer that. It's not rhetorical, do you? No, you don't. So when a business case is presented to you, do you all have the same feedback on what will make it better? No. So then what is the national team's responsibility? Can they satisfy everybody in the room when they present a business case? Can they make every single one of your changes along the way and satisfy all of you and end up with an end product that's worth using? Is that possible? No. And so there happens this misinterpretation of role at times, where an organization is saying, we want to be servant leaders, we want to be inclusive, we want to hear you out, and we will make adjustments. But you, John Smith, who works in whatever affiliate 2,000 miles away, you didn't get specifically what you asked for. Your feedback wasn't what ended up in the end product. So how do you feel? You feel like, see, they're the same old thing. They're not listening. It's top down again. I gave this feedback and they just steamrolled ahead with what they wanted. Now let's get real. There's a couple hundred people at least in this room. There are going to be decisions made by national that some of you feel good about, some of you say wish they would have done a little differently, but ultimately we all have to be mature enough to look at it and say, did they put their best foot forward in trying to bring something to all of us that would actually serve the greater community? And if that intention's been met, then that's where all of us need to say that Big Brothers Big Sisters is simply bigger than us as individuals. And in order to be successful, we all are going to have to then say, look, we gave our feedback, we're included, we are not only on board, but we're going to make this happen. So let's talk about performance, because that's what this really comes down to. If this organization wants to perform, I would say the first step you need to do is you need to get rid of your cultural and experiential baggage. So whatever that baggage is that creates these what I call undiscussables, it's when this big conversation's going on, but a whole bunch of you are thinking something else, but you don't say anything. And then out in the hallway it's, hey, did you catch what so-and-so? Because I cannot believe that kind of baggage, right? Or the experience that you had 15 years ago with another leadership team, and you go, well, there was this one time, and you know what happened? So watch out for them. It's not even the same people. So at some point, you just have to give the new people an opportunity to be them and not put them in the shoes of, who you used to deal with. This is the conversation I have with my wife. Now, keep in mind, I've been with her since high school. She doesn't forget anything. And the whole family refers to her as Google Allison. And that's no joke. So if you ask my wife anything about any person in media or in history, or even that's done some stupid thing that ended up on the news, she will know everything about that person. So typical dinner conversation, at work, someone will say, who was that actor that played in that movie that did so-and-so? No one has an idea. I just text, Allison, who was that actor that played in that movie that was about the car that they stole in 60 seconds or something? And she'll come back with the whole history. And then she'll tell you, he was married, but he got divorced. His wife's in rehab. They have 2 kids. He got the kids, right? So it's seriously Google Allison. So what happens when I display behavior that might even look like behavior that happened 15, 20 years ago, she starts telling me about, this is just like that time. And I go, that time I was 19. I'm 43. I haven't done that in 20 some odd years, So we go through that. And you know what happens when you have a new team in place at Big Brothers Big Sisters? They're going through that too. They're living with the old cultural baggage and the old experiential baggage that's not even theirs. And when they get into conversations with you, oftentimes they and you come together and you bring all that baggage, right? It's like a blended family. Everybody brings their baggage, right? And then everybody hashes it out all the time. But what you got to realize is everybody's human beings, and if we all have good intentions, then maybe we should start assuming the best rather than bringing our baggage into it and potentially assuming the worst. And then you're killing productivity. You're killing performance over things that are political in nature, that are not important in nature. So cultural and experiential baggage. My grandfather, so I wasn't going to tell a story, but I'll tell. My grandmother was scandalous. She really was. So she was divorced. She was running a business where, she was an entrepreneur. You think about this woman. She ran a boutique where she made custom-made clothing, and she made clothing for people who had all sorts of disfigured parts of their bodies. And she would create everything from bathing suits to wraps to you name it for specifically women that had gone through things physically but wanted to be able to wear certain clothing. And it was really an inspirational thing that she did. And then on the side, she did some interior decorating. And that's where she met Harry Nemser, my grandfather, the only grandfather I knew, by marriage. And Harry, he had a lot of expressions, growing up in New York. And whenever people would just kind of go on and on and on, and he had enough of it, he would just go, "Enough already," and wave the hand, right? And then all the little kids, because, he always had 3 or 4 of us in tow, we would just keep going. "Enough already, enough already." And you could say that to, you'd be in a store where my grandfather would had enough with the clerk because he wasn't getting what he wanted because he was always negotiating for something. He could negotiate for a bag of gum. And when he finally just had, "Enough already, here," and he'd give the money. And we would just start with the "enough already." So what I'd like you to do, and I really want you to do this, is I want you to think just for a moment about your cultural and experiential baggage associated with the history of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Take a moment to internalize it. Even picture some faces. Just go for all that stuff. Go for it, right? And we're going to let it go with a big "enough already" in a count of 3. Okay? With a good hand wave. I want to feel the wind of all your hands coming at me. Okay? In a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Enough already. Thank you. That felt good. All right. So since we've released that, you need to now be the new you. The new you will be inclusive, right? The new you will offer trust. Wait a second. That was a twist on things. Usually it's build trust. He said, offer trust. I got an 18-year-old who has his first girlfriend. I am learning about offering trust. This is awful. I mean, every moment you're thinking, what are they doing in that back room? It's driving me insane. But I'm offering trust. He says, "Dad, I have good intentions." I go, "Well, what are those good intentions?" I had good intentions too. And remember, I've been with your mother since I was 16. I don't want to describe what those good intentions were. So offering trust. So here's the deal. We can build trust, and we should build trust, and we should earn trust. I get that. But how does all that happen? Over time, with experiences, right? Where you can say, okay, this happened and I saw how that person responded. I'm now feeling better about predicting how they'll respond in those situations. And so on and so on and so on. But there's another part of trust that we often ignore. And that's where you offer it. Okay, you offer it to individuals who have accepted responsibility, who are holding themselves accountable, who are being transparent. And as a result of those basic premises coming into the relationship, deserve a little bit of offering of trust. And what I'd offer up to you is that if the organization, whether it be between local affiliates or affiliates and national, if we can assume the best and start offering some trust and the enough already with the baggage, it really does speed up the process of being productive and performing. Partnership. Partnership is an absolute necessity going forward. Hard work is a necessity going forward. Nothing will happen easy, and it especially won't happen easy in this country, which is not growing in leaps and bounds, this economy. And belief. What's the most powerful thing on the face of the earth? Belief. In my opinion, anyway. And I'm the one with the mic, so here you go. Right? But I would say belief is one of the most important things. And the reason I say it is because if you think about the major things that happen on this planet, so many of them start with some set of common beliefs. And sometimes that's positive, like curing a disease. Sometimes that's negative, like starting a war. But unfortunately, belief drives either one. What I see in the organization today is people do genuinely believe in the mission. And that strong belief is what is going to keep you in conflict when it's necessary and get you to this place of productivity because you all desire to perform well. Performance. Last thing on my mind on how you will perform. And it really has to do with alignment. When I think about alignment, again, I'll take it in some different directions. You can focus on being right, or you can focus on being successful. Weird place to go. But you can focus on being right, or you can focus on being successful. Big Brothers Big Sisters is bigger than any of us individually. We all have opinions about what decisions should be made, what systems should be used, and so on and so forth. And sometimes you just might be right. But what you have to think about is this. If you tear down an effort because you're focused on being right, when ultimately you see the solution as worthy, not exactly yours to dictate, but it is worthy. It is reasonable. It makes sense. But it's just not yours. And it just wasn't your way. Think about the juxtaposition between being successful or being right. Because ultimately, if you stay in this place of, I need to be right, even if it's at the detriment of Big Brothers Big Sisters, then Big Brothers Big Sisters as a whole will never be successful because you'll never be in alignment. We talk about this thing called the STAR model at Jack in the Box. It starts off with strategy. Some of you know the STAR model. It starts off with strategy. Do you believe that Big Brothers Big Sisters strategically is headed in the same direction, regardless of whether you're national or you're an affiliate? I want to hear your answer. Do you think we're headed in the same direction? And if you don't, then you need to do something about it. But I would offer up that the national team feels like their mission is the exact same as the affiliates. And they look to partner with you to help you be more successful, not to compete with you. Okay? As I started off with, they're here to serve you. So the STAR model starts with strategy. You need to be aligned to what the strategy is for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Beneath the strategy, you now have a structure. And the structure is this national and these affiliates. And within that structure, everybody has a role. All of you have to offer up some trust to let each other do the role. If you don't, you can't come together and be successful. There will always be this separation that keeps the organization from reaching its ultimate goals. So beneath the strategy is the structure. National has a role. Affiliates has its role. There is going to be this inclusive thing going on. There is going to be this servant leadership. There is going to be this partnership. Be the new you. Don't stop that from happening. Contribute to it happening. So what's beneath the structure now? It's process. Because once you have the structure in place, you have to build common processes that allow you to perform well. And so one of the processes you've heard about is the whole AIM 360. Right? I'm not here to sell you on AIM 360. It's a piece of technology. But it's an important piece of technology not because it's the end-all, be-all, only thing you can do, but because it's a platform that unites this brand in how it does what it does. And if you go back to the question I asked, we want to be right or we want to be successful, it's one of those things that maybe there are parts and pieces of it that you wouldn't quite do that way. But ultimately, if you want to get to where you need to get to as big brothers, big sisters, you're going to need to commit to things like this going forward so that there can be one system. Start with one strategy. Have one structure that everyone understands the roles. And now you have processes that are built on common systems. And then there's the rewards. The next step in the STAR model. Who ultimately is rewarded by all of your work? The kids. I mean, it's nice that you all make money too, for those of you who make money doing this. Some of us volunteer. But the kids are the ones that ultimately get the rewards. So there's rewards in it for everyone. For me, because I get to give back, and I get to get involved in something that keeps me grounded and never has me believing that selling hamburgers is the most important thing on earth. That's what's good about me getting to do this. Because it's easy to get caught up in how many hamburgers you sold yesterday. By the way, it was 2,640,000. No, I'm kidding. So it's easy to get caught up in that. So I want something that keeps reminding me of the things that are bigger than me and bigger than burgers. Okay? Rewards. The kids ultimately are the recipient of the rewards. You all are also rewarded by this, whether it's the same type of feelings I have as a volunteer or as a paid employee who then also has and shares some of these feelings. And lastly, in the STAR model, it's all about people. And this is who screws it up. It's true. Whether you're dealing with a little league team, whether you're dealing with your kids traveling soccer, whether you're dealing with your local church, whether you're dealing with your PTA, whether you're dealing with Big Brothers Big Sisters affiliate, whether you're dealing with National, whether you're dealing with your mother-in-law. Just kidding, she's a great lady. My mother is really the hell on wheels. But regardless of all of those relationship type things that exist within an organization, what either builds it up or tears it down is the people. It's the people. And so my challenge to all of you, and what I'll leave you with is, are you committed to the future of Big Brothers Big Sisters, or are you committed to you? And that's really the lasting question. Because if you're committed to Big Brothers Big Sisters, then you'll make the hard decisions that need to be made. You'll forge ahead. You'll partner even when the person across the table is annoying you slightly. Okay, you'll see past that, and you'll see the bigger picture, which is really about the kids. I thank you for giving me the time up here today. I entered the twilight zone a year ago with all of you, and I look forward to experiencing the end of the story when this organization gets through this transition. And the end of the story, I can tell you, is quite great. Because for Jack in the Box today, we have a National Burger League of 13 teams that are so engaged in our business, who are performing well, who engage in constructive conflict with me and my organization when necessary, but all for the greater good toward reaching our strategic goals. And I'd offer up to you that if you stay committed to what's bigger than you, and you can see it clearly, you'll get there too. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Wendy Foster and Eric Stumberg.
So are we fortunate to have Lenny Kama as a national board member or what? Thank you, Lenny. As your national co-chairs of the Nationwide Leadership Council, Eric and I and the 18 other Nationwide Leadership Council members are extraordinarily fortunate to serve you. And I hope you all know a little bit about the Nationwide Leadership Council. Our job is to carry your voice, your feedback, your concerns to the national leadership and the national board, to engage with the national leadership on strategic initiatives, and especially to evaluate initiatives that require that we as agencies either pay or do something that might be a little different. And for the last year, maybe a little bit more than that, we've spent a lot of time in Nationwide Leadership Council meetings talking about AIM 360. And in talking with many of you over the last day, my sense is that many of you are only just hearing those words, AIM 360, for the first time. Some of you have heard them and think you know what it is, but you're really not sure. And all of you are hoping to learn a little bit more about what this mysterious new thing is. So for the next 15 minutes or so, Eric and I would like to share with you what we've learned at the Nationwide Leadership Council about AIM 360. I want to tell you a little bit more about the why, about the what, and we'll save for the end what is probably also very much on your minds, the how much it's likely to cost. So I also want you to try to go with us a little bit here and not think about AIM 360 as only a piece of technology. Certainly it is that, and you'll learn about that in a little bit. But AIM 360 is really something entirely new. It's a bold, innovative initiative that our national office is spearheading to help us align. And you just heard Lenny speak very eloquently and powerfully about alignment, and this is a tool to help us align. So let me get into the presentation a little bit. It's okay. Yeah, sure. This is what most of us look like today. We're in the relationship business, and yet we deal with our constituents mostly in silos. We have the AIM database and workflow system that helps us on the program side. Many of us have fundraising systems which are separate and don't talk to our service delivery side. Some of us have event programs. Some of us are using email systems. You name it, and it runs the gamut. We've got systems galore. And our constituents live inside those systems. And we know a lot about our constituents across those systems, but it's really hard for us to sew it up all together. So we're doing a lot of inefficient double, triple, quadruple work, entering the same constituent into multiple systems, and we're not really able to harness everything that we know about them super effectively because all that information is spread out across many different platforms. So one of the big ideas about AIM 360 is that it's going to help us bring all those disparate systems and platforms where we're keeping all this information, all this process into one platform, one place where we can see everything at the same time. Lenny spoke about Jack in the Box's transition from a top-down management to a franchise model, and about the fact that you can have a great product, but that doesn't really matter, and it doesn't predict your success unless you have the right people, those people have the right attitude and are on the same bus, unless you have processes that allow you to repeatably deliver your product with quality wherever you're delivering it, and unless you have technology and information management that helps support your people and your processes to deliver that product. This is what world-class organizations do. They align process, people, and technology. And we, as Big Brothers Big Sisters United, are not doing this in a world-class way today. But the promise of AIM 360 is that we're going to be able to do that very shortly. AIM 360 is designed to help us bring together all the activities and constituents that we have in mission delivery, all the activities and processes and constituents that we have across all of our fundraising activities, and all of the constituents and processes and information we have in marketing, and sew it up together so we can see it as a unified whole. So for example, as we go to market with a program, let's say Beyond School Walls or Workplace Mentoring, which offers great promise, we're going to be able to, and requires funding to support it, and also requires systems so that we can deliver it repeatably with scale. AIM 360 is going to help us do that in new and innovative ways. It's one platform that sews everything up together. Why now? Why are we doing this now when we have so much going on? We know it's going to cost something. Why are we adding that to our plates? Well, because the world is changing around us. In fact, it's already changed around us. You may not reflect on this very often, but here's some interesting statistics. 70% of our littles are between the ages of 10 and 19, and 65% of our bigs are between the ages of 20 and 36. They come at the world in a really different way than the generations that preceded them have. And they think about communicating and being communicated with in really different ways. And they don't want to be treated like a silo. They don't want to be treated anything but holistically. They want you to know everything there is to know about them and treat them accordingly. They're also communicating and dealing across multiple platforms, and the platforms are exploding. Look at the little graphic in the corner of the square and see how many social media platforms there are, and think about how many have come on the scene just in the last 2 years alone. We have a choice. We can continue to deal with those younger constituents that make up the majority of the folks that we interface with by adding more and more silos to capture the information and data across all these platforms, which isn't probably going to help us be successful. Or we can try to find one way to look at our constituents across all the platforms that they're communicating and interfacing with us and the world on, and be able to talk to them as holistic people. So this system for us, this platform, is absolutely critical because the world has changed. Competition for fundraising dollars, as we know, has heated up dramatically, and our need to evidence what we're doing better and better and better is absolutely paramount to our success. We've got to stay in relationship with our constituents over time so that we can better evidence the work that we do and the results that we achieve. How can we do that if we don't have one way to continue to know people? Think about the Reunite Now campaign. It's an excellent example of what we're trying to achieve with AIM 360. Why do we have to re-find people that we were in relationship with a while back? Littles that we've lost touch with, bigs, donors, board members who once were in our circle and then we lost touch, and we're having to invest a ton of energy to bring them back in the fold. We want to start a relationship with someone and continue to grow that relationship, deepen it, and build it out over time, and be able to understand that person, whether they're here in Denver or whether they're in Boston or whether they're in LA or any other part of the country, because people move. We don't want to not be able to know that someone's associated with us, no matter where they go, how old they are, or what agency they're having a relationship with. So the time is now for this product, and it's going to be an unbelievable boost and fuel to our organizations once it's deployed.
So we get post-lunch, so I'm going to have a little kind of a audience participation, just to kind of show how this works. How many people have donated to Big Brothers Big Sisters? Raise one hand. How many people have volunteered? Keep your hands up, and you're going to have to start raising other appendages. How many people have actually volunteered? Raise one hand. How many are part of a national partnership, either a company that has a national partnership or a fraternal partnership? You can stand up if you've run out of limbs right now. Okay. How many people have participated in Bowl for Kids' Sake in one activity like, you have to stand up if you've run out of limbs, all right? How many of you have moved into a market, from a market where you've been to Big Brothers Big Sisters, into a new market with Big Brothers Big Sisters? I don't know if you did jump up and down or something like that. Maybe it's a leg. I think there's a yoga class tomorrow morning, is that right? So whatever you stretch out today, you can sit down. So this is just, right, this is just table stakes about knowing people who have relationships with Big Brothers Big Sisters. How powerful would it be if when someone signed up at Bowl for Kids' Sake, or they called on the phone and you pulled up their name and you knew that, gosh, this person was a board member in another market. They work for Wells Fargo. They are part of a fraternal organization. So we know them. How powerful would it be if you said, gosh, I've heard that company 3 or 4 times, and you pulled up, I wonder how many people work for that company in my market, and 5 volunteer bigs work for our company. And now you can go to that company and say, hey, why don't you follow your employees? So really, the opportunity about AIM, we talked about what AIM kind of used to be. It's agency information management. Is exciting. So AIM 360, really it's about every customer, every staff member, every time, right? So that you're known. When they walk in the door, we know them. And we can find a place for them, or we can help them better and better serve them, or a little. So, want to do that? I think I wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits. Most people think about benefits in a few really key ways. Does it save me money, right? Is it going to help me make more money? Is it going to free up my time to do more productive things, right? And is it going to help me deliver better service? So all of these things come into these values and benefits of what we can do if we're all on the same platform and we're able to track holistically the relationships that we get to steward. And so just some things, I'll go through them, but they're fun, but there's one version of truth, and it's what's in the system. I think one of the saving things about AIM, as we've talked about even with OIG, is we had a little thing called AIM that said, we served all these people, and here's our proof, and it's right here. And so, so there's one place of proof. The nice thing about the system is, like, how many people, this is fun, you can do, how many people have a computer? How many people have a smartphone? How many have another iPad or other device? Right. And you probably travel with all of them, right? And so the fact is people access information, right, on lots of different devices and everywhere. How many people have business meetings other than in their office or somebody's home, right, that has an internet connection, right? This enables us to be productive where we need to be and on whatever device we want. One of the neat things about the system is that you can set up all the reports that we spend lots of time trying to create. And wouldn't it be great if you just pushed a button, right? It's the easy button for a lot of our KPI reporting, a lot of other types of information on how we're doing in growth. And so this actually frees us up so that we can actually look at how we're doing versus spending the time trying to figure out what we're doing right now. The other thing that's actually going to be really nice is this is an information economy. This is not new, but it's more effective to spend time to figure out what we need to be doing and how we're doing, right, than trying to get data. And so this will free us up actually to be much more efficient in working on our business and taking our mission forward. A couple of things I'll go over. Organizational efficiency, what that means is you have more time. So again, when we start talking about everybody's on the same platform and everybody has a similar process that we use, this is going to free you up to do more fun stuff. Who really likes to actually collate Excel spreadsheets into a master data form and then do customized reporting? Because everybody take note of who raises their hand on this one, because we just found some volunteers for the next project that we want. For you people, you might be disappointed, but we might find some other ways to help engage you. And really about better service. Because at the end of the day, right, what we're trying to do, we're trying to raise more money. We're trying to really engage the people who we have a relationship so that, right, we can serve them better. And this will allow us to do that. And the last piece around the benefits, and I'll show you, is that this isn't just a one-time thing. This is the starting ground. So as we'll see as we kind of move forward, this is version 1, right? And it will improve as we see that our business improves. So we wanted to take a couple of examples, and I just worked through kind of the Wells Fargo example walks in your door, and wouldn't that be great if they came up and you knew all these things about them that you could connect them to or we could access. And so one of them was, look at that, Wells Fargo, they're a partnership with National, they're a board member and a donor, and all they gave you was their name, right? So what can you do with that possibility? And maybe they were in Chicago, but then they moved to Austin, right? And you're bringing all that. So the relationship is actually maintained across our agencies with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So do you want to give kind of a cool...
Sure. The next one on the slide there, let's say a volunteer inquires about, an adult inquires about being a volunteer in your agency, and you don't know, but now AIM 360 will tell you, oh, that person is already involved with Bowl for Kids' Sake through one of your corporate partners. That would be really great to be able to talk to that person, thank them right off the bat for being engaged in bowling, and sew that up in a nice new relationship.
Yeah. So, again, if you know who they are, you know who they're connected to, you have lots of ways to actually engage them and help them. So we're getting to the money and how much, but the first how much is actually how much has been spent to date. So already the national office invested $4 million in this system. Silence. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's a big number, and that's so far. So I wanted you to know that to bring this system up to where you can use it and to test it has already had a huge investment. And not just from national, but some specific board members that really cared about this 3 years ago to say we need to do something, and they were all in. The other is that if you look at the ongoing investment we talked about, this is something that we're starting and will continue, is the commitment is to invest almost $1.5 million a year to keep it current and add functionality as we need to. So it's a pretty big investment to date and one that's already made and committed from the national board. Pretty cool. So here's the kind of two things that we are trying to solve structurally. So one is there's a lot of disparate systems, and you can go through their AIM, web hosting, any communications, Spheres, fund development. How many people have at least 3 of those systems? All right. How many have 2? Okay. How many have 0? Okay. So there's 2 kinds of things that are going to happen. One is, if you don't have systems like this, you're going to have the opportunity to do things that you've never been able to do. And for people who are using multiple systems, you're going to be able to do that in one. So this is really killer. And so that's one big thing. And the other is, instead of paying multiple fees, what the national office and what we've worked with in NLC is to basically have one fee structure, which I'm going to have the pleasure of letting Wendy talk about right now. But 3 big points. National office is invested and committed in its success to date and going forward, and it's really going to make it to have one great solution that hopefully is structured to work for everyone's good. Go ahead.
Eric and I said before we came up here that being NLC co-chairs means you get to be scapegoats, and you get to do the hard stuff. So I'm going to flip to this slide, give everybody 60 seconds to look at it, and before you jump out of your chairs, please listen to some of the explanation. So let's remember that we're now talking one fee that aggregates together all the separate fees that you may currently be paying. So don't forget, it's one fee, not another one on top of existing fees. Currently, the AIM fee is based on the number of children served. And we want to compliment the national office for really looking hard at different ways to structure the fee around AIM 360 to be the most equitable that it possibly could be. And so right off the bat, there's going to be a change. And AIM 360 fees are going to be based on a tiered structure based on agency revenue, not children served, agency revenues. 3 tiers. Less than $500,000 in revenue annually. The middle tier is $500,000 to $1 million in annual revenue. And the third tier is $1 million and over in annual revenue. Because those agencies that are at $500,000 and less may not have any of the systems that we've currently talked about, may not even be on AIM yet, the national office also proposes that for agencies in that revenue bracket, we help them absorb the cost by starting at a slightly lower fee in year 1, $6,000, and then in year 2 and thereafter, moving up to the $8,000 level. Again, to help facilitate the transition. The fee is not a revenue center for the national office. The national office is not making money off the fees. The fees cover things like system maintenance, just ongoing maintenance of this product, just as AIM has continued to have ongoing maintenance. The hosting of the product, it's web-based, and a larger support team to support it, because the product is going to, again, encompass multiple systems. It's our service delivery system, our fund development system, it's Sphere, right? So the support team needs to be more multifaceted and bigger, given that it's going to be dealing across platforms and with multiple groups in each agency. Many products like this require companies to pay a per user fee. You pay a licensing fee per user in your organization. We will not have to do that. Unlimited numbers of staff members can access this product for that same base annual fee. And for any of us having to buy these products off the shelf, that would be and is going to be a very efficient and economic price for us. And then finally, for those agencies that are already using multiple of the systems that are going to be incorporated in AIM 360, you will find you're actually going to save money. In my agency, the combined price just alone of Razor's Edge and AIM is close to $22,000, and our AIM fee would be $15,000. So how about that? That's a really nice benefit, right? We're going to get a product that's going to help us move into the 21st century and beyond, align people, process, and technology, and for many of us, it will actually save us money. This has obviously been a very, very high-level overview and just a really quick tour. This is a big, big enterprise. It's a big product with lots of different aspects to it. We hope that you're at least curious enough now to want to learn more. And there is a booth on this floor that is manned almost 24 hours, where you can actually see screens of the product live. You can talk to the team that's building this. There are, I think, 20 or more agencies in the network today that are piloting this product, and I know all of them will be more than happy to talk to you, and there will be breakout sessions that will go into a lot more detail. There will be tons and tons more communication about AIM 360 in the coming months. The product is due to go live April 2014, and so this is coming. It's going to be amazing, and every one of us has to invest a little time to get to know it better and begin to understand what it can do for us. Do we have anything else?
Just also, our technology partner, Blackbaud, is a 2013 Reunite Now National Conference Resource Room sponsor. And so in the Blackbaud room, throughout the conference, you can actually meet individually with any of their subject matter experts or our subject matter experts for more in-depth or one-on-one conversations. So enjoy the afternoon, and we'll see you tonight at the Sewell Grand Ballroom, where our pre-gala reception gets away at 6 p.m. It's a couple of blocks away, and you'll see on the map on your conference app, And beginning at 5:45, there'll be shuttle buses from the lobby of this hotel and the Monaco for those of you who need a ride. Thank you.
You did too. That was good.